Hi, this is Kerry with Career Oyster. We're so excited to share with you today, directly from our founder, Howard Caddy, some quick tips and career advice for sales and marketing professionals. Howard has been helping people find their dream jobs for over 30 years. His experience as a recruiter, a salesperson, and an engineer has led him to create a unique and different system to help people like you find that dream job. From a forward-facing resume to networking and learning how to take control of the job interview. Today, Howard's going to take us through the advantages of a career in sales and marketing, how external factors can influence our career plans, cause us to make transitions, and how proactive career management can prepare us for whatever comes our way. He's going to take us through the Career Oyster philosophy and how to understand your marketability. We're going to cover strategies and tips to proactively take control of your career, and then we'll end with a few questions that have come in from our customers. So with that, let's jump in.
Okay, a lot of advantages of sales careers, and I'm a big believer of them, and I've been one for a long time. But sales today, sales reps that stay in there will be consultants more and more if they're an outside salesperson. Inside will be, generating leads, handling and growth enhancements and growth of the accounts, and sometimes different services that are required. They're always the revenue generators, and therefore they are a core competency for that particular company, no matter what they're selling. These, as I mentioned, are going to be the best revenue generators for a lot of products. Human contact always is needed to close the deal. You cannot count on a proposal to close a deal unless it's in a commodity state where it's well known, etc. It can be done online. There is some, a lot of things are being sold online, but in the end, you need a human contact, and someone has to at least set it up so it's so automated that it can be filled, and etc. But a lot of products are going that way, and they will happen that way. But there will still be need for sales expertise when there's customization required, personalization required. We've talked about a couple of these. And the other thing about sales skills, they are very transferable. A lot of people, when they go into sales, they're not sure they like it. I'll actually show you a slide on their transferability. So the truth about sales, I taught sales at 5 companies, been taught very well. I had some great mentors. And I was very technical when I started out of an engineering background, designed hardware and stuff. So I never thought I'd be in sales because wasn't going to push. It was too pushy. I didn't want to, et cetera. It wasn't outgoing. I was kind of a little bit introverted at the time. But all of a sudden, it dawned on me that sales is about leadership. Sales is about leading people to do what's in their own best interest. And once you have that concept down, it becomes very easy to sell the right product to the right company for the right reasons. And that's the key to staying in success. And that's the key to being successful in sales and staying in it a long time. To have a good product, it's something you believe in, but find the niche. And every product has a niche that it's good at. When I've sold technology, some people were selling it to the wrong market. They didn't sell it the right way. If you find the right way to sell a product, it's very rewarding. Now, forced transitions. Things happen in every career. So the question is, where can someone go if they try sales? This is mostly for the younger people that are eventually will hear this recording. Some people worry, what if I don't like it? Where do I go then? Well, you could be proactive, and the skills you pick up if you get sales training, most salespeople do not have enough sales training. Most salespeople get trained early, if at all, and then they don't do any more. I still go to training classes, and I go to learn new techniques and new ideas. So if you're going to be a pro at sales, you have to keep investing in yourself in training. And if someone decides they don't like it, then what do? Well, you have to transition your way out. And there are ways to do that because you can, let's say you have an industry or product decline, you can't help that, but there's other ways that product is going to be handled. New management comes in, salespeople have experienced that, I have, and you're not on the team. They want their own players in. Major customer client leaves creates financial problems. Recessions and economic decline, I've got that one on my belt too. Fewer jobs in my field, layoffs. AI or automation impacts, who knows, but I expect them to be rather severe in some cases and also impacting almost every way we do business. building your network is a safe net. Seeking higher prices is a good way to comment on this. And then seeking accounts that have ongoing needs. For example, staples and food and consumer products and things like that they have a consistent flow of goods is actually a good sales career. It's sometimes better than the technology field, where technology you have a leading product for 2 or 3 years and then you're superseded and now you're forced to make a change. One of the reasons I liked recruiting was it was above the technology. So the strategy in long term is actually to get above the technology. What do I mean by that? I mean, I'm solving the business problems. I'm working on those areas, and I'm not tied to technology in recruiting. They change the products tomorrow that are in demand. I can switch my recruiting efforts to the new products. It doesn't cost me anything. I'm not stuck with a product that's getting outdated and being less competitive in the marketplace. So try to get a position above the technologies or above the part that's going to change. But sales expertise is very valuable in any management position. So let's take a little risk assessment here. If I'm in sales and I don't like my sales job, it's just not for me. It's only, I'd say 13 to 15%, according to the aptitude tests and et cetera, natural skills. Only about 15% of the people would like sales. So it's not a big part of the market. Sales skills can transition to many industries. So if you don't like that product, you can go to another product. You can go to another service. You can go to another industry. People say, well, I don't have any experience in that industry. Well, you have sales expertise and sales experience. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about how proactive career management, our approach, you can make those transitions. I've changed people's careers completely to a whole new avenues that they never thought they could do. So it is possible to go to other things that you would like and could be excited. Your communication skills can transition to many business areas, right? If you're a good manager, you can manage other operations, but you have to sell it and you have to present yourself in that light and you have to learn to market yourself better. Salespeople sometimes go over to the marketing side or the business development side. Some salespeople actually rather do the customer support options, et cetera, for customer success, et cetera. Others would go into the operations of a sales thing as opposed to the actual client interface. Some sales analytics are a big issue where you can get into. Product marketing managers are also careers I've helped people get into. Sales and sales services trade. What's interesting with all these things, most people would say, well, I don't have any background in these things. You do. You do. You have knowledge, you have awareness, you have expertise, and it's like if selling anything else. You can sell it if you present yourself properly and put together your background in a nice, focused manner. You can make these transitions. Inside sales leads, you can get management in there if you want to do that, etc. So sales expertise is a valuable skill set. Now, I'm going to switch the topic now and say, let's talk about what is a proactive philosophy. I've said a lot of things like it's easy to do. I'm not saying it's easy, but I've created jobs for myself. My kids have created jobs for themselves. I can give you story after story. If you're interested, sign up for a session. I'll give you some stories about people whose careers they thought were dead, trapped, not paying. They were unemployed for a while, and we changed their career and their life. You can do it, but you have to know how. And it's not by following the traditional path. So let's talk about a proactive philosophy. Job search is a sales and marketing process. Okay. I think 95% of the people that come to me for a free session, they agree it's a sales and marketing process. But interesting enough, nobody behaves that way. Okay. So let's think about why it's a sales and marketing process. You are a product. Your resume is your proposal. It's your marketing document. Okay. As a product, you have features and benefits, collectively called marketable skills. No one really analyzes themselves as a product, and therefore they don't really present their marketable skills effectively. They chatter, they'll go on and on. They'll follow the herd. There's a herd of lemmings. Everybody follows a bunch of lemmings over the cliff, and they get failure in their job search efforts. Why? Because they haven't thought about the process. They treat it from a defensive point of view, and they don't look at themselves as a salesperson. If you're the salesperson, You need to sell your product, which is you, in every interview. Therefore, interviews are not really interviews, they're sales calls. Okay. So the interview process is a series of focused sales calls. You have to win each one. And more people talk themselves out of jobs, including salespeople. They're the worst sometimes. And I believe me, I've interviewed them for 30 years. They can be the worst because they never think about themselves as a product, and they don't think about the process as a sales process. Instead, they follow it more like it's a HR process, a Q&A, and here are the rules. Let me give you a clue. There are no rules in job search. The rule is real simple. Get in front of the right person with the right message at the right time. Period. That's the goal. And however you have to do that, you do it. I got a lot of experience to prove that true. Okay. Now, every interview is a one-on-one sales call with a specific objective. How do you structure that? How do you do that? There is no such thing as a casual interview or a token interview. They're all serious interviews. The salesperson plans to execute a structured sales call with specific goals and strategies, not just a wing it call. I'm going to go in. I saw their company. I know their products. I think I know this guy, whatever. That's a casual, that's a haphazard call. Yeah, he likes you, but he's not hiring you. The salesperson controls the interview. This is the biggest thing. Most people go into the interview playing defense. They memorize the answers to 622 questions, supposedly, and they go in there and they're scared to death, and they got to play defense, and they sit back and try to answer questions. Reality is they should be controlling the interview. Most answers in the interviews contain lists and end with questions. Techniques, sales techniques. Managing timing in the interview process. Had a person today who was trying to make his decision about pursuing an opportunity on the front end of the process because it didn't pay enough and it didn't look like it was the right thing, instead of going in there and exploring to see what was really going on. He believed the job description, which are never accurate. There's 20 myths about job search that aren't true, or they're ineffective, or they're out of date. And people follow them religiously. Everything in life goes from possibility to probability to reality. A good salesperson puts away their bias and goes out and explores opportunity, and then makes an informed decision at the end of the cycle. I like to say when you get an offer, but certainly after you've interviewed with management. The rest of the issues are not important up until then. Oops, wrong button. So here's the good news. In all these years, there's a real simple fact that the most qualified person doesn't get the position. It's the person that interviews the best. I can tell you from our recruiting, we'd send out 5 candidates, different skill sets. And the one with the weakest skill set that we send in first, to set a low bar, would come out the winner because they liked that person and he interviewed the best after we prepped them. We prepped them all and they liked that person. They said, we'll train that person and get them up to speed. So you can win these jobs. It's not whether you're the most qualified. You don't have to worry about that. You have to out-interview other people. All right. Let's talk about a couple of things. Proactive career management at each stage of your career has to do with setting a goal. Setting what is the right thing for my life right now, personally and professionally. So what do I want to do now? What am I qualified to do? Qualification, we can broaden that out a little bit. What am I capable of doing, even if I haven't done it? What am I aspirationally, what do I want to do, which fits the top one? And also, what do I know how to do, maybe from a hobby or from a course or whatever? All those can be marketed as your ability to do the job. Then the question is, where will I be able to do it? Targeting. And will they pay me appropriately? Those are the 4 things that we try to do to pick out optimize to make a good job decision. All right. Now, the second thing you consider is like our little, some of the ridiculous thing. We want so much experience for something, for a technology that's brand new, right? I've seen that happen. AI. Oh yeah, we want 5 and 7 years of AI experience. And it's really good luck. So the types of, you have to decide, okay, what is the type of jobs that I have a real preference for? Because you always do best in jobs you prefer. And where's the preferred environment? That can change over time. You start out sometimes with large companies, and I know most people, they kind of go to small and mid-sized companies later to control their destiny. What are the specific things I do every day, maybe? And then look at your personal priorities in your career, in your life cycle, but then also consider the marketplace factors in PLC. I might really like to go sell some Salesforce software, but Salesforce is laying off a ton of people and it's in the mature stages. And maybe that's not the best place to be right now. It was 15 years ago, 20 years ago. It's not now. Same thing is true of ERP software and some things like that, unless they're going into cloud. And who knows right now with cloud software, everybody's going to get involved with a major platform. So it's going to end up being the behemoths that run these platforms, and each one of them can control 10, 20, 30, 50, 100 companies. And that's going to mean that you need less resources in the user environment. So these are considerations that you can look at. Now, I mentioned the large company and it's could be bureaucratic. I couldn't handle this later in life, and yet I was with the federal government and I was with IBM, and then I went down into the headhunting world, which are in a smaller environment. And then I tried to go back to $1 billion company running the accounting and finance, and you know what? I failed at it. Just couldn't stand the bureaucracy and the politics of it and whatever. And it was just, it lasted a year and a half, and then I started my own businesses. But the reality is, over time, you have to decide what fits for you. If you like large companies, you like the balance of life, you like that kind of thing, it works. Whatever it is, you figure that out. If you're in I can't tell you how many people I would go to these job search fairs, and they would all talk about the same companies. I want to work at this one. You know anybody at Coke? You know anybody at Home Depot? You know anybody here? These people are not going to get in there. They're in their senior circuits, or they're older or whatever. They need to be looking for good mid-sized companies, and there's tons of them in Atlanta, and tons of companies where they can really contribute, enjoy, and still make a great living, et cetera. Or you could target small but funded companies, and entrepreneurial is you're a little bit involved in survival. Solopreneurs like consultants, individual consultants, coaching like I do, that you have to be comfortable with that. And that's something that if I had a choice, I'd probably have a little bit of a team. We have some now with a couple good partners, and that's a lot more fun than being by yourself. All right. Now, here's some advantages of this proactive career management. You are in charge of your career. You stay ahead of the trends. You look for growth cycles. You avoid potholes and surprises. You optimize your career path. You make moves ahead of the curve, like selling stocks properly before it drops or before something changes. You see trouble coming, or you'll see different competitive factors coming. How do you get ready for this kind of thing? You need to have your resume ready at all times. Flex resume is what we produce. You might say, what is that? We write a very unusual resume. I created this because if you think about it, resumes are all past tense biographical histories. That's your proposal. That's your marketing document. We write and help people with a forward-looking document, just like a sales process. So the traditional resume violates the sales process. And there's about 18 other things that violate the sales process. So people still follow these guidelines that are around since 1980, and they wonder why they're not getting seen. They wonder why their resume isn't helping them. They wonder what happens. And I got something else to tell you about in a second about why that's a big problem. The other thing is people aren't comfortable with interviewing. People hate interviewing. Why? Because they've never been taught to interview. They've never been shown a process on how to control, manage their interviews. Once they learn that, all of a sudden interviews are fun and they understand how to do it. That's what we teach. Build networks, they do help over and over. That's a good thing to do, and you should be networking all the time. We teach how to do that. But in the end, sometimes you have to network around to people that are strangers and get around the HR process in spots because it's jammed with 300 resumes and they're not going to see you. If you do these things of having a more supportive resume and you learn to interview, you will double or triple your odds of getting an offer. And believe it or not, the resume, which everybody thinks is the magic bullet, is 30% of your win, just like a proposal. 60% is how well you interview. And that's why if you click on our site at the end, you can go explore our best product ever. Very affordable. It should have been taught in college. It's for how to control an interview for the rest of your career. Okay. And interviewing is the gateway to a better job. It's a gateway to a better life. And it always makes a difference. The better path you can get on, the better path that follows on to. Now, let's see what this one is. Oh, yeah. So here's a reality. In job search, everybody's in sales. This happens to be a group focused on sales, so this is not a strange thing. But in IT, they don't want to be in sales. They don't like sales, but you are in sales, and you are selling yourself. And if you're not comfortable with it, you need to learn how you can get comfortable with it. But even if you don't think you want to be in sales, when you know that you're doing the right things for people, your sales is about leadership, of showing someone why you're an excellent solution to their problem. There are no rules in job search. Sorry, I don't buy it. The key is to get in front of the right person, right message, right time. Job descriptions, here's another myth out there, one of our 20 myths. They're only half accurate. You don't even know which half. So you should be curious to go explore and not reject yourself. You are not the screener in the process. You are the salesperson. 80% of the hiring is based on the interview. So if you don't execute the best interview, you're not going to get the job, even if you have the greatest looking resume in the world. People hire people, not resumes. Where people hire based on chemistry, more important than qualifications in a lot of cases. And how do you build chemistry? You build chemistry by the interview. Okay. And that's why it'll double or triple your odds of getting an offer. So I used to always tell people about a golden rule of hiring and sales. Here's the golden rule. Served me my whole career. People do what's in their own best interest as they perceive it. So, simple process in interviewing. I want them to perceive that I'm the best candidate for their position. Maybe not the most qualified, but the best candidate in terms of potential, overall background, etc. And I could give you lots of examples of this, of why that works. All right, Carrie, I'm going to take it off the screen here, and we'll take some questions.
Yeah, we've got a few great questions here I want to jump into, and also I know we're over time, so try to get through these as quick as we can. One question, in an interview, what's the best way to demonstrate specific skills that are relevant to the hiring manager?
Well, you said in an interview or in a?
Right, yeah, in an interview, what's the best way, I'll put it in first person, for me to demonstrate specific skills, especially technical skills that are relevant to the hiring manager?
Yeah, I think once you know, you want to put some depth on it. So one of the things you're going to use is a story. You're going to use some stories, or you're going to use some lists. And the goal is to keep them really short. So you want to use something where you talk about, here's a project I did, and then you give a list of the steps that you did to show some depth. You give a little bit of a list of the tools that you applied to accomplish that project. And then you would stop and ask him, does he need to hear more detail? And at that point, he may say no. On the other hand, if he says he wants more, he'll ask you, and then you can go into further detail. Most people would just go on and on about what they've done, and it'll be 5, 6, 7 minutes, and you'll lose them. I think off the top of my head, that's it. So if you have a resume that supports your stories, then it makes the answer much easier because he already has the knowledge, and the answers, he'll ask you a question about that, but it won't be that detailed. He'll have the detail he needs to go forward.
Awesome. Thanks, Howard. Another question that came in, how to find a good sales and marketing job at the age of 65, right? This is somebody who says, I'm capable, I'm valuable. But the reality is ageism is alive and well. So any advice for those of us that are?
Yep, I'm there. That's a sales problem. And you have an incredible amount of value at that point. You have a lot of experience. You're usually not, it's a very low risk hire because you're not going to go anywhere for a career. You bring a lot of value and a quick startup time. You'll probably take a little reasonable income. You're like a Mercedes-Benz for $30,000. And you have to sell yourself properly and preempt and say, listen, my goal is to work another 5 to 10 years and I want to make money and run the accounts. And that's what I'm going to do. And whoever hires me is going to have a person that works independently. I'll make my numbers. I'll help with the team if you need me to. I'll mentor people, and I get along fine with the young people. I'm probably the best hire you can hire because you won't have to worry about me doing my numbers and helping you be successful.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Another question that came in, and I would say stay tuned on this because we're going to do some content around this, but what's the best way to optimize your LinkedIn profile or your resume for the ATS?
It's all about keywords, right? So once you learn to change your vocabulary and learn to talk in keywords, I know everybody thinks they know what keywords are. I was coaching a marketing guy right before this call today, and he didn't know what keywords were either. And so if once you use keywords, you'll realize what do recruiters put into the computer and what do and it's very few. They put in very few keywords. You think about it, the way you search for jobs, title, industry, products, that's what the recruiter puts in. And then he's going to get a whole bunch of resumes. He doesn't put in a whole lot of details in the tracking system. I've had 4 or 5 of them. And every recruiter subjectively puts in a different search. They all get a different list of people. So when they bring up their list, the first thing they do is they look at the list and they look at the resume and they're going to give it 20 seconds. And at that point, they should be able to, before they get halfway down that first page, they should know what you want to do and why you're qualified. And if they don't, B pile, probably not to be seen. They stop looking when they get to 5 candidates, let's say, if that's the number they want to send out. And that may be at number 19. You're number 21 because you didn't have the right keywords in there and the right things to get their attention. You probably never got seen.
Well, thank you, Howard. I think the other questions you actually covered throughout the presentation. So certainly if anybody has any follow-up questions, reach out to us and we're certainly happy to help. And we'll also be putting some new content out there with some new blogs that will help answer some of these questions as well. Well, I hope you've learned a few things from Howard today. He's talked us through how to plan for and select opportunities in light of our career goals, understand some of the disruptors that will interrupt our career paths, and how having a proactive strategy will result in better career options and opportunities. We welcome you to join us. If you're ready to take control of your career, win your next job interview, and get the career that you deserve, select the right option for you at www.careeroystercoach.com/yearpath. We hope to see you soon.